Okay, this is the Kate Hardy September episode, take 1.
Come on down, we'll show you around. Have the corner. Shake your hand, we're in a band. Have the corner. What's your name? Play a game. Have Capal's corner.
Whoopsie dipsy.
Oh, whoopsie bits.
Happy September, Kathy. It's good to have you on the show. Thanks for being on.
It's my pleasure.
No.
You just called me by my dead mom's name, so that's uncomfortable. But
Well, it's comfortable for some people.
yeah,
And I also like you're retired. Did you just get in from working out in the field?
I did.
Yeah?
I
Just do some
did.
carrots.
Yep.
I like carrots.
I like to garden.
Hi, and welcome to another exciting episode of Capaul's Corner. I'm your host, Benny Capaul. And with me today, I have the ever so amazing CEO of 6 Feet Over, correct?
Sure, executive director.
6 Feet
founder.
Over, founder, co-founder. Kate Hardy. Hardy har har. Har 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 har.
That's me.
That's you. Mm-hmm. Let's just delve right in.
I love it.
Let's just talk about it. It's September in the air. Let's talk about it.
Well, I try not to have it in the air. That's kind of like my goal.
Okay.
Yeah, but it is something that we need to talk about.
So let's talk about how you got into this CEO, 6 Feet Over, Suck at Suicide, all this. Kind of give me like a preface.
Okay, like a Genesis story.
It doesn't have to be that long. Please don't make it that long.
I won't make it that long. I accidentally fell into it, but I lost my mom in 2003 to suicide, and I was 20, so I had very little exposure to death in general, with the exception of like a few friends from high school got in accidents and like a grandma. And yeah, the funeral director, I think I told you this before, the funeral director from when my mom died told me that we shouldn't tell people it was suicide and we should change her obit and tell people it was like a heart attack and stuff. So I didn't know that there was a community out there. I didn't know there were other people like me. I didn't know that there was a name for people like me. And this was 2003, so we're talking like MySpace wasn't even a big deal yet.
No.
Social media wasn't a big thing. So it wasn't until years later that I realized that there was something else out there that people talked about it.
You tell me you didn't MSN Messenger this? You didn't AIM this?
No, I didn't.
God, well, you're
Yeah.
missing out.
No.
That's what I was doing on MSN Messenger.
You're just talking about like death and suicide and stuff.
I mean, what else to talk about in September, you know? So, okay, so why'd you start it? Why'd you start this company? Nonprofit.
It's a nonprofit. So I used to do walks and stuff for the National Suicide Prevention, not the Lifeline, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And they do these Out of the Darkness walks, which I tell a lot of people to go do because they're really cathartic and they really do show you that there's a huge community of people out there like you and you're not alone and you can talk about your person and it's totally okay. But I would do them by myself and I never really raised money for it. I would just show up. But one year I was like, yeah, I'm gonna raise money. Do it. It's gonna be awesome. And my husband was in a band at the time. And I had a bunch of friends that were in bands. So I put a show together.
Okay.
And I named the show Suck at Suicide.
That's cool.
But then after the show, I had a bunch of extra t-shirts because my husband was like, you should buy 30 shirts. And I bought 100. So I had 70 extra shirts after the show.
You should have listened to your husband.
Yes, I was definitely wrong.
But you had 70 more shirts.
I had 70 more.
Around.
So yeah, and I was just going to like DIY punk rock shows that my friends were throwing in like garages in Detroit. And I was selling t-shirts. And I realized that like a lot of my friends who I had mutual suicide losses with, because this is now like 2012.
Right, 2012.
So almost, it was 9 years after my mom died.
Facebook is now appropriate.
Facebook is now a thing.
Twitter, you may be tweeting, maybe starting to
I'm
tweet.
still not very good at the Twitter face.
Really
There's some people.
Some people get kicked off Twitter.
You know? Some people get removed from the Twitter face. I'm not one of them. So yeah, I was doing, but my friends were coming up and they would see my shirts and they'd be like, "Hey Kate, what's going on? Oh yeah, woo woo." And then they would look down and be like, "And I'm gonna back away slowly." And these are people that I had lost similar friends with, also by suicide, and it was just kind of like, my people aren't talking about it, and we're losing our community. Like, yeah, I lost my mom, but I've also lost 8 of my friends to suicide.
This is something we're all dealing with this, but we're all hiding it. Like, why not just
talk about it and learn how to talk about it? But then shortly after that, we lost another friend. His name was Jason Lockwood. Mm-hmm. And that like rocked my whole Detroit music scene community, because he was a DJ, he was a promoter, he was a bartender, he was in so many different bands. He was a big guy to a lot of people, and he was a great friend to a lot of people.
He was always there.
He was always there. So people were like, "Katie talks about suicide," and what?
Can we just shush on set, please? Sorry.
But I talk about suicide a lot.
Sorry, Kate, for their interruption.
It's okay. I'll deal with it.
But
they were like, "Katie talks about suicide, so let's ask her about it."
Yeah, absolutely.
And then people started buying more and more of the shirts, and then I made a special edition shirt for Jason and a couple of other our friends. Their names were on the back. And then it just kind of steamrolled. I had people that I didn't know that were from like the mental health community who said that it was pretty dope, and I was shocked by that.
Fat PH style.
Yeah, it was baby fat. There was one woman that I actually ran into months later. Mm-hmm. And I was at the Hamtramck Labor Day Festival about 5 years ago, and she was wearing like a breast cancer pin.
Okay.
And she was telling me about how people who want to die should just like go roller skating or spend more time outside or take up a hobby or just really appreciate their lives. And it was one of the few times that I got actually upset talking to somebody.
Right. I can understand.
And I was like, "You're telling me that my mom, who struggled with bipolar for 30 years...
She could just roller skate.
If she had gone roller skating, she would have survived."
She could roller skate it away.
And I said, "Have you ever told a breast cancer survivor, somebody who's lost somebody from breast cancer, that they could have just gone roller skating and it would have been fine?"
Well, it goes back to just the they're not obviously educated,
right?
By any means.
But she was, at this point, she wasn't listening to anything that I was trying to say.
Right.
When I ran into her months later, she actually told me that I changed her perspective on it, and I was like, nobody ever tells somebody else that they thought that they were wrong.
You saved that one.
I didn't save her.
You could have.
I made an impact on her.
Hey,
to be more of a support for her community.
That's a start.
And that is a huge deal.
Also, I hear that you are a cross-stitcher.
I am.
And
I was going to bring some, but I totally forgot.
Yeah, I thought you said you were going to bring one. So thank you for that. I really do appreciate it.
I can send you pictures later.
But tell us a little bit about, what do you cross-stitch?
Usually things with curse words.
Very
Memes.
elementary.
I do a lot of memes.
So, for 6 Feet Over, and for people who just want information or maybe just need to know a little bit more or just want to know more, is there any way to get a hold of you?
No.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you for joining us for the lovely month of September and suicide prevention. This was Kate Hardy. She has no idea what she's doing. I'm Benny Capaul. Thank you and have a wonderful September.